In my last video, I got a few comments from people asking about the strength of this handle that I made here, wondering why I didn't drive the screws out into the actual handle part, thinking that the glue is not strong enough. So I thought it would be interesting to set up an apparatus that will open and close the door using the handle over and over and over again, just to demonstrate how durable, the assembly is. I need some kind of oscillating thing to do that. I'm going to use my battery drill. I figure the best way to do that is just to clamp it up in place. This strip that I have here is not quite wide enough. If I attach this to it, it'll bridge the gap better and I'll be able to clamp it in place. All right, so that goes in like that. And now I need a convenient way to hold it vertical. Just going to cut a couple of pieces of plywood to go in beside it and screw those on. Now that I've got that done, I need a way to control the trigger. What I really want to do is give it precision control so that, it pushes in a very small amount and holds it there to make the thing spin slowly like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole in and just use a regular machine screw to push down on the trigger. Well, the screw I had wasn't quite long enough, so I had to drill a bit of a counter bore here for the head to sink in a bit deeper so I can adjust it in a bit further. Okay, to clamp the drill in place, all I'm going to do is drive a screw right through that plywood bracket. Now that I've got the motor drive all worked out, I'm going to figure out how far the cabinet door has to be, operated. The range, I think it's around 22 inches from here to here. So I'll need to make the linkage to match that. The first piece of the linkage is what I'll call the arm. I'm going to drill a 1/4-inch hole through it, and then a 1/4-inch bolt is the axle, and I'm going to use a lock nut and washer to hold that on there. Now to attach the arm to the link, I'm not going to get complicated with this either. I'm just going to use a screw and a couple of washers. Okay, well that looks good so far. I just need a gentle way to attach it to my handle here so I don't beat it up. I got a piece of rubber hose that I'm going to wrap around the handle and connect right onto the link with a couple of screws and a couple of washers. Okay, unfortunately I didn't get this on camera, but I did test it out. And the one thing that I didn't want to happen was it beat up my handle here. So what I did was I changed the way that the hose attaches to the link here. I'm using tape now instead of screws. A little bit easier to break away if something goes wrong. And I'm looping it up over the top of the handle like this. And that's to keep it up off of this arm here. I found that when it was swinging around before, I don't have everything lined up here exactly, trying to do this quickly. And it hit the arm and it kind of, threw everything off. So I'll tighten my clamp and give it a try. I'm having a little bit of a problem with my precision trigger adjustment here. The screw is going crooked when it hits the trigger, and it's see, and it stops. So that's pretty violent, though. I don't know if a regular cabinet door handle would stand up to that kind of abuse. Okay, I've shortened the link so that it doesn't go as far anymore, and that should make it maybe a little bit less violent. But to be honest, I don't know about the value of this test anymore. That handle has been beaten to hell already. So I'm just going to tighten this up and start it up. I also fixed my switch thing here. I added nuts to the bottom of the screws so that they'll have better contact with the trigger. What's going on? Fuck. The biggest problem with keeping this going seems to be the drill itself. It keeps shutting off on me. Turn it on again, if it'll turn on again. Yeah, it's really violently jerking that every time it comes around here. So it's shaking it up a lot. But it seems to be working. I think maybe the battery's dead or close to dead. Yeah, it's not going to start again. Okay. Wow. Okay, well, I think that should, satisfy most reasonable people that this is actually strong enough. The face of the handle here is actually beat up quite a lot from the pounding back and forth of that link, opening and closing it. I did this mainly to demonstrate to people that they shouldn't discount ideas out of hand. I knew that this was going to be okay based on the amount of force that it takes to actually open a door. The bond between the handle and the standoffs doesn't have to be that strong anyway. Certainly not as strong as it turned out to be. So I'm really happy with that. With all of my projects, and that includes this gadget over here, I try to do it as efficiently as I can without wasting a lot of time or material on stuff that doesn't need to be done. I see a lot of overbuilding all over the place, and it's mainly because the people that are doing the project or building the thing don't understand exactly how strong something needs to be. They usually underestimate the strength of joinery or a glue joint or wood itself or lots of other factors that go into it that make up the total strength required for the project itself. It's like this right here. You don't need a lot of strength in that joint there to open and operate this door. Now, if it's getting smashed into all the time, or you got kids around beating it up in your kitchen. Of course, this was a shop project, not a kitchen project, but you could do this in a kitchen. I would recommend maybe drilling a dowel through after you assemble it with the glue. Drill a hole in there, like a 1/4 inch hole right through, and then you could put a dowel right in there, glue a dowel right through, and then After that, you can screw through the back and screw it onto the door. And that will increase the amount of strength in that joint by a huge amount. So it'd be almost impossible to pull it off.